For the quick review A on number 1, we're going to use the slope formula, which I gave you here, to solve for slope. So the first thing we want to do is we want to label our points. So we would have x and y, but the first point would have 1s. The second point would still be x and y, but we're going to put 2s. Then, just like the notes, we're going to go ahead and set up our fractions. So slope equals, then we have our fraction bar with our 2 minus signs. And then we're just going to fill in. So for y2, we go up here, y2, we go find it over here. That's -4. So I'm plugging it in for y2. y1 is -4. We know that the 2 minus signs here, or the 2 negatives, become a plus sign. Then x2 is 6. x1 is -3. So again, these become a plus sign. So -4 plus 4 is 0. 6 plus 3 is 9. And if I divide that, since 0 is on top, it's just 0. And then on number 2, we're also finding the slope. And because we are not given the points, we can just count, rise over run. So I noticed that from this far left point to this point, I cannot rise, but I can fall. So I am going to go ahead and count down. So 1, 2. So I went down 2, which is a negative. And then I'm going to count to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that would give me a fraction of -2/5. And this cannot reduce, so I will just leave it -2/5. Okay, then for number 3, for graphing, just y equals 4. We just go to the y-axis and put a point at 4. And you're just drawing a line opposite of the y-axis. Like that. Then for number 4, we're going to go to x equals -5. And then we're going to draw a line opposite of that. So that would be going up and down, vertical line. Okay. Then for 5 and 6, we had discussed earlier that there are 3 ways to graph a line. We can use slope-intercept form, point-slope form, or standard form. And each one have their unique characteristics. So for slope-intercept form, we see that y is by itself here, and we see that we have a y by itself as well. So we're going to compare our slope in front of x, and then our b is that last number, which is a +3, and this is where you begin on the y-axis. So I'm going to begin at 3 on the y-axis, and then my slope says -4/3, so that means down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going +3, which is right 3. And then I can also go down 4 more, and then right 3 to land here. If I try to do the opposite, I'll be off the graph, so I'm not going to worry about that. And then go ahead and draw your line. And you should be done with that one. Okay. And if you look at number 6, number 6 is very much set up like number 5. They are both slope-intercept form. So in number 6, my slope is a 3. And I'm going to make that over 1 for slope. And then b is the -5. So I will begin at -5 on the y-axis. I'm going to rise 3, run 1. Okay, and then number 7, if we go back and look at our equations that we have, if I look and I compare it to number 7, I have y with a number. Here I've got y by itself, so it couldn't be slope-intercept form. If I look at standard form, I have to have x and y on the same side. I do not have x and y on the same side. They're on different sides. And if I look at this form here, point-slope form, I see that point-slope form has parentheses, and so does this. So I know that I'm going to have to use point-slope form. Okay. So for my slope, it should be there in the middle, which is 4 over 1. And then my point would be my x and then my y. And I want to write it in that order, x and then y. So when I take the number out, it becomes the opposite. So it would be a -3 and a +2. And this is where you begin, at that point. So I go back to 0, 0. I go over -3 and up 2. And then I need to graph my slope. So I'm going to rise 4, run to the right 1. I'm also going to go down 4, left 1, and draw my line.